My name is Aiko Hoshino. I'm the daughter of one of Japan's most powerful corporate families. At 22, my life looked perfect from the outside. Exclusive university, designer wardrobe, my face splashed across fashion magazines with the caption Hoshino heiress steps into spotlight. But on the inside, I felt like a caged bird. The day my life changed, Tokyo was caught in the drizzle of late spring. I was sitting inside the company car, my phone buzzing with meaningless messages when the back door opened. A man stepped in front of me. Tall, broad-shouldered, jet black hair tied in a short ponytail, dressed in a slim dark suit and an earpiece. He was calm, but you could tell he wasn't just security. He was trained. Military, maybe. "This is Kaito Arakawa," said my father's assistant. "Your new head bodyguard." I raised a brow. "Is this really necessary?" Kaito didn't answer. He didn't even flinch. That silence? That unreadable expression? That was the beginning of everything. He followed me everywhere after that. Lectures, cafes, art galleries. I'd turn a corner and boom, he'd be there, arms crossed, standing like a shadow that couldn't be shaken. I tried to ignore him. Even tried to escape once by climbing a back wall at a university party. It didn't work. I slipped. He caught me before I hit the ground. "You shouldn't run like that," he said, voice low. I tried to laugh it off. "You were watching from the shadows again?" "I always watch." I looked up at him then, really looked. He wasn't just a guard. He was a wall. A storm. A man who kept everything inside. And I hated that it made me feel safe. It was supposed to be a quiet charity event. I wore a pale blue dress. Kaito stood behind me at the gala, eyes scanning the crowd like a hawk. Then someone screamed. Gunshots tore through the room. Kaito shoved me behind a pillar and shielded me with his body. I heard the thud of his shoulder taking a bullet. Chaos was deafening, but all I could hear was his voice whispering in my ear. "You'll be okay. I promise." When it was over, he was bleeding. He refused medical help until I was safe in the armored car. That night, I sat beside his hospital bed, watching him sleep. Why would a man like him take a bullet for a spoiled girl like me? I didn't know it yet, but he wasn't just assigned to protect me. He had chosen to. A week later, my father's office turned into a war room. The threats were getting worse. And his solution? Marry him. I choked on my tea. "Excuse me." "Legally. Temporarily. It'll make your security seamless. You'll appear as husband and wife. No one will suspect a thing. It'll give him unlimited access to protect you." "And Kaito agrees?" I asked. My father turned to him. Kaito simply nodded. "No emotions. No expectations," he said. I wanted to scream. But part of me, the part that had felt his heartbeat against mine during the shooting, whispered yes. And so we did it. No wedding. Just papers. A signature. And a kiss in front of cameras that lingered too long for something that was supposed to be fake. Living with Kaito in the penthouse was quiet. Efficient. Cold. 2 rooms. 2 lives. 1 giant lie. But sometimes I'd catch him staring at me when he thought I wasn't looking. Sometimes he'd cook for me. He'd open doors. Carry my umbrella. He'd turn off the light after I fell asleep on the couch with a book on my chest. And one night during a thunderstorm I asked him, "Do you ever get tired of watching the world from behind glass?" He looked at me, eyes soft for the first time. "I do. Every day." Started with a misstep. I was looking for a notebook in his study and accidentally opened a locked drawer. Inside were photographs of me. Some recent. Some years old. The me in high school. The me at my mother's funeral. My blood ran cold. When I confronted him, he didn't deny it. I've been watching over you since you were 16, he said. Your mother saved me when I was nothing. She gave me purpose. She made me promise I'd keep you safe. I backed away. You were never just my bodyguard. No, I wasn't. His voice broke. And I'm sorry. That night I didn't sleep. I watched the city lights from the balcony, heart racing. Then the door slid open. He stood behind me, hesitating. I know I was supposed to keep a distance, he said. But I failed. Because somewhere along the way you stopped being my duty. I turned to him, eyes full of tears. And you became mine. He kissed me. Not for the cameras. Not out of obligation. But like a man who had spent years holding back an ocean. After that night on the balcony, things between us changed. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet. Subtle. Like the gentle unfolding of spring after a long winter. He stopped calling me Miss Hoshino. I stopped closing my bedroom door. We ate together. Sat close without needing excuses. We shared a kiss in the kitchen once. I was barefoot in his shirt, and he had flour on his nose from trying to make pancakes. It was soft and messy, and I laughed against his lips. He froze for a moment, like he wasn't sure if he deserved it, then kissed me like it was the first time he'd felt sunlight. For weeks, the world stood still. Until the day I got the call. It was my mother's old lawyer. He said something had come up in the investigation files from years ago, ones surrounding her death. I thought it was a car accident, I said. It was, but there were threats made before. We believe it might have been a cover-up. I didn't tell Kaito immediately. I wanted to protect what we had. But secrets never stay buried for long. He found the files on the kitchen table 3 days later. You reopened the case? He asked, voice low. I had to, I whispered. I need to know. His jaw clenched. Some things are safer left unknown. I stood my ground. Not this. He turned away. Then I need to tell you something. That night, in the stillness of our bedroom, he told me everything. My father was part of the group that tried to extort your mother's company. He was the one who planted the bomb in the car, but he died before it went off. I tried to stop him, but I was too late. Your mother saved me from becoming him. I couldn't breathe. Why didn't you tell me? Because I thought if I could protect you long enough, maybe it would make up for the blood on my name. I was shaking. The room tilted. I don't know what hurts more, I said. That you hid it or that you thought I wouldn't forgive you. A week later, I returned to my father's office building for the first time since our marriage. And that's when the real betrayal hit. Hidden under layers of security, financial documents, and legal filings was a contract, one signed by my father and a shadow company based in Hong Kong. Contract, a bounty. On Kaito. My father had orchestrated the marriage. Not to protect me, but to expose Kaito. Eliminate him once he was no longer useful. 'Cause Kaito knew too much about the past, about the family, about the accident. I confronted him. You knew, I accused. You knew they'd try to kill you. He nodded. I accepted it. Why? His voice broke. Because if you hated me, you'd survive me. And that's all I've ever wanted. We tried to leave the city. He booked us a train. Disappeared all security trails. Took me to a small beach town 5 hours away. It was supposed to be peace. A reset. 1 week to disappear and rebuild our future. But peace never comes clean. On the 3rd night, I finally told him everything. My mother always said love is about choosing someone over and over. Even when it hurts. Even when it doesn't make sense. I kissed his forehead. I choose you, Kaito. Not as my bodyguard. Not because of guilt. But because no one ever looked at me the way you do. He opened his eyes. And for the first time since I'd met him, he cried. Kaito was still healing. But I was burning. Burning with betrayal. With truth. With the ache of watching someone you love risk everything just to keep you safe, even from themselves. I stayed by his side in the hospital until he could walk. And the moment he did, I made a decision that would change everything. I called my father. "I'm coming back," I said. "Alone." He sounded calm. Too calm. I knew you'd make the right choice. Back at the Hoshino estate, it was just the two of us in the boardroom, father and daughter. Legacy and rebellion. I placed the contract on the table. The bounty. The betrayal. "I know everything," I said. He sipped his tea. "He's dangerous." "No. You're afraid of the truth. That a man you tried to erase became the one person I trust." He leaned forward. "You think love changes blood?" "No," I said. "But it changes people." I stood. "You can either end this war or lose your daughter." I walked out before he could answer. And I never returned. Kaito and I vanished after that. No more headlines. No more penthouse. No more shadows. We settled in a small coastal town far from Tokyo's glass towers. He opened a quiet security agency. I painted again, something I hadn't done since my mother died. Sometimes we'd sit by the beach in silence, the waves crashing in rhythm with our scars. He still had nightmares. I still woke up crying from mine. But we were healing. Together. A year later, we married again. This time, there were no cameras. No bodyguards. Just us. Two broken people who had built something whole from the pieces. He wore a gray suit with no tie. I wore a pale ivory dress that fluttered in the wind. When the priest asked if he would love me, Kaito said, "I've loved her since the day I was told to protect her. And I'll keep loving her even if the world forgets our names." I cried. I wasn't embarrassed. I'd never been more seen in my life. 6 months into our new life, a letter arrived. It was from my father. Unopened. I kept it in a drawer for days, afraid of what it might do to our peace. When I finally opened it, I found one sentence. "Your mother would have chosen him too." That night, I walked into the living room where Kaito was reading. He looked up. I didn't say anything. I just curled into his arms and held him like we'd never be torn apart again. Years passed. The world changed. But one night, as we stood watching fireworks from our balcony, he whispered, "If I die first, I want you to know, I never regretted a single second." I touched his face. "You won't die first," I said. "You're too stubborn." He smiled. "So are you." We kissed under the light of exploding stars. And I knew then my life didn't start the day I was born. It started the day he stood beside me.